Okay, so you might have gotten a notification for recording. So let's have a quick icebreaker. So just please log in to www.menti.com and using the code on the screen, let us know where you're logging in from, your country. And the follow-up question will be, how do you greet each other in your country? So let's do this quick icebreaker and then officially begin this event.
Maha, can you stop the screen? I can share my screen for the icebreaker. So the code has been changed. And
so please use 2798625. That's the new code. It's better to join from your phone. So if you have your phones next to you, type in www.menti.com and use the codes that's on screen. So some of the responses I'm getting is Fiji, Mumbai, India, New Delhi, Australia, Philippines, Nepal, Japan, Indonesia, Mongolia, Toronto, Canada, Uganda. That's a great mix. And it's always lovely to have this sort of diversity and people joining from different places around the world. Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Karnataka, Raji, should we go to the next question?
Yes, of course.
And in your local languages or your regional language, please let us know how you introduce yourself or the way you greet with each other.
Can you see the second question on the screen?
Not yet.
Okay. Hold on. Okay, here we are.
Yes. So how do you greet each other in your local language? Salam, Bula Vinaka, Kumusta, Namaste. So some of these are really difficult for me to read. How are you? These are great. So Rajni, if you can help me with some of these.
Oh, okay. Wow. The thing is that Namaste is so common in South Asia that even in India we say Namaste. In South India, especially where I am from now here, Namaskara. In Nepal we say Namaste, Namaskar. Right. So yeah.
Hi, Bola, Salamat, Konnichiwa.
Kumusta? Oh, Ram Ram is also there. Ram Ram.
Yes.
Hello.
Salamat.
Salam. Oh, Sanjay is actually from Nepal. We say like Sanjay means where.
Okay.
Are you fine? Are you fine? Like, that's a very friendly way of greeting each other. Sanjay. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for these responses. Good to know such nice languages and such nice audience that we have today coming from different parts of the world. So just a couple of ground rules before we begin. I will request you all to please keep your microphones and video disabled to lessen the load on your internet bandwidth. But we will have some time later in the event where I will request you all to turn on your cameras and you can also interact with the speakers. Other than that, please rename your Zoom name to the following format: your country, your first name, and your last name. The speakers and the productions team has already renamed, so it is for all the participants to please rename by using the instructions on the screen to your country name, followed by your first name and then the last name. Again, we always like our events to be interactive, and for that, I will request you all to please use the chat box below. If there's any question, any concern, any suggestion, you can type in. We will have a plenary later in the event where we will have a very interactive session and we will open the floor for question and answers. Over to you, Rajani.
Thank you so much, Maha. And I just wanted to let you know that today for this dialogue, Maha and I will be moderating the session. As most of you already know, Maha, she's the co-leader of Eval Youth Asia. And I'm Rajani Kayastha. I'm basically from Nepal, but I'm based out of India, Bangalore right now. I work as an independent consultant and also a NEPS team member. And now, we really want to extend a very warm welcome to all of you. Thank you so much for joining in. And especially we have honorable and distinguished speakers and country presenters for this regional dialogue. A very warm welcome to each one of you. And last but not the least, most importantly, our participants who've logged in from all over the world. Thank you so much for, the time difference is crazy, but then you all have joined in, and we really want to thank you for joining in. A very warm welcome from all of us to you.
Thank you so much, Rajni.
Yeah. And I just wanted to highlight that this is actually technically our fifth dialogue that we are having. The first one was held in 2014 and 16. And they were in person, and it was more like a consultation. And then 2020, 2021, and now the third one, we're holding it virtually. But then we're very glad that we have this opportunity to have you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rajni. And on behalf of Asia Pacific Evaluation Association, Eval Youth Asia Chapter, Asia Pacific Parliamentarians Forum for Evaluation, we welcome you all to Asia Pacific Regional Dialogue on National Evaluation Policies and Systems 2022. Just for all of you to know, we have a series of exciting events starting from today up till 10th of December. So please mark your calendar and go to the website and enjoy these events. These are very great, and I'm sure you'll have a blast.
As we start, we have some opening remarks, and we would like to start with Mr. Samandar Ramamodi. He's been working really hard with the NEPS team, National Evaluation Policy and System. He's the co-lead, and Samandar, I would like to invite you to please provide your opening remarks to all of us.
Thank you so much, Rajani. Hello and welcome, everyone. A very good morning, afternoon, evening to all of you, depending on where you are joining from today. As our colleague said, APIA previously held several consultations and virtual dialogues since 2014. And today's Asia Pacific Regional Dialogue on National Evaluation Policies and Systems aims to amplify the importance of NEPS in the Asia Pacific region. Most of participants today might have attended previous dialogues. However, there are also new guests. Therefore, it's a great opportunity for all of us to reflect and learn, share and network with each other. And there is a very good lineup of keynote and country presenters today. who will share their experiences and work and research that contributes to NIPS in the Asia Pacific region. Let us use this opportunity today and coming days to advocate for stronger national evaluation policies and systems, for stronger NIPS to work. We also need stronger political will, investment, and strong institutions, particularly strong national statistics offices. Let's hope that we will achieve that soon. Thanks to the organizing team, to the presenters, and everyone who is in this room today. Wishing all of you a great event and participation. Thank you so much. Over.
Thank you so much, Samandar. Now we have Professor Kiko, and she is Vice President of Asia Pacific Evaluation Association. And we are very glad that Professor Kiko is here to give us the opening remarks. Professor Kiko, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Rajani and Maha. So good day to all of you. On behalf of Asia Pacific Evaluation Association, APEA, I'm very honored to welcome all of you, the country representatives and other participants, to this very important meeting, the Asia Pacific Regional Dialogue on National Evaluation Policies and Systems. When APEA formulated the Asia Pacific regional strategies in December 2020, we are in the middle of pandemic and we are forced to stay home. We could not travel and meet each other, and we try to explore the communication method to keep our work going on. And 2 years have passed, and then the APEA has produced the many reports and papers with the strategies, and we think the national policies and then the systems and also strong statistics is very important. So now at the end of the pandemic, hopefully we at the end of pandemic, and then all the evaluation started, and then the evaluator could travel, and then, but still with this, the advanced technologies, although we don't have to travel and we can meet each other and then exchange our opinions and knowledges, and then we can learn and listen to each other's views, and also we can learn more. So we sincerely hope that this event is useful and fruitful for all the participants. And thank you very much. And over to you, Maha and Rajani.
Thank you so much, Professor Kiko. Now I'm going to invite for the opening remarks, Anna Erika Lereza. She's the co-leader of Evaluate Asia. Hi, Anna.
Hi, Maha. Thank you for having me. And good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone, if you from wherever you are from all over the world. And on behalf of Evaluate Asia and of the organizers of this event, it is my pleasure to also welcome all of our speakers and our participants for today. Definitely this dialogue is a very rare opportunity for us to share lessons and experiences when it comes to developing the national evaluation policies in this region. And because this platform opens that opportunity for everyone, I am definitely encouraging all of our participants with us here today to not just only spectate and just take away. I encourage everyone to please be active in engaging in all of our speakers, speak out your experiences to improve the evaluation policies in the region, because only when you speak out, only when you speak out can we actually improve it. So yeah, and definitely as a young and emerging evaluator, YEE's participation in this event is definitely very important. From a perspective of YEE, national evaluation policies are certainly going to be our foundation as we navigate through this profession. So it's very crucial that YEE voices are heard in this kind of platforms. So with that, I hope everyone would have a very meaningful discussion and dialogue today, and hopefully all of our interactions and lessons that we get from this dialogue could help further strengthen the national evaluation policies in the region. And with that, thank you very much and all the best for today's dialogue.
Thank you so much, Erica, and this was some great advice. We would definitely like all of you to participate and share your experiences. Now I'm going to invite Honorable Natalia for the opening remarks. She's a former Member of Parliament of Kyrgyz Republic. Welcome.
Hello, dear participants. Good time of the day to all honorable participants. It's a really great pleasure and honor for me to welcome you on the Asia-Pacific Regional Dialogue on National Evaluation Policies from the Global Parliamentarian Forum. The global world has been changing extremely fast. There are many political changes, revolutions, new parties, new leaders come to the leadership in different countries of the globe. Why? Because there is no monopoly on the information, no monopoly on data anymore. Any person having a mobile phone, internet, computer, communicating with other people in social networks can get access to the information, alternative views and positions to those that broadcasted officially. So we have been shifting from the era of lie to the era of half-truth. Why half-truth? Because of fake news and information attacks. But in this opening digital world, people request changes, truth, evidences, responsible governments and parliaments. People want evidences and proof that scarce resources are shared efficiently, that their taxes are distributed properly to the society needs, that people whom they elected and trusted power deserve that. And here is the evaluation as a way to equity, evaluation as a tool for efficiency. Evaluation is a process that can lead to the responsible governments and parliaments and better living of people. I strongly believe that development and implementation of national evaluation policies in the countries will lead to the new era. It's so important to mention the key pillars for building national evaluation policies. First of all, it's leadership. It's the team of like-minded people in parliaments, governments, professional evaluation organizations, other stakeholders who are really leaders for evaluation, rise the agenda. There should be definitely the framework for that. It's a basic to have the framework as a legislation, legal acts, national evaluation policies, standards, methodologies. The second pillar that is very important is infrastructure. This is, first of all, the system of organizations like professional organizations, units in the governments and parliaments on evaluation, other people who are involved in that. And the next thing is education, need for intensive training programs on different levels, formal and informal education on evaluation. And one of the most important things for the really efficient national evaluation policies, this is cooperation and networking. And cooperation between decision makers and professional evaluators, young evaluators, combination of new approaches, this is what really can change the attitude to the good and responsible governance in different countries of the world. So let me mention the growing role of VOPES, Professional Evaluation Organization, in strengthening the skills of people, in organizing education, in making research, in collaboration, and building regional and national networks, collaboration on the global level. So I believe that only building evaluation environment involving all stakeholders based on the relevant national evaluation policies, responsible leadership, and sharing the evaluation agenda, we can really move forward. I appreciate acceleration of processes and growing collaboration between the countries in the Asia-Pacific region around dialogue and development of national evaluation policies, around strengthening partnership and exchange information and practices between professional evaluation organization, parliaments, parliamentarians, government, business, and media. And I strongly believe that evaluation can change the world. My congratulations with this great event, dialogue, and I wish you success. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You've beautifully summed up the objectives of this event to enhance knowledge, to share experiences and best practices, and to mobilize the country partners for strengthening NEPs. So thank you for that. Over to you, Rajni.
Yes, thank you so much. And now we go on to the remarks from Marco Sigone. Unfortunately, he's not here today with us, but he has sent us his message, his remarks. He has recorded and shared with us. And just want to mention that he is the director of UNFPA Evaluation Office and also Eval for Action co-leader. Here's the remarks from Marco.
Dear friends and colleagues, I am honored to join you virtually today. A few days ago, the global population reached 8 billion. 8 billion people means 8 billion possibilities to create the world we want. This landmark moment is a reminder that if we are all to thrive equally, more must be done to protect and advance the rights of those people that are the farthest behind. The milestone is also a call to strengthen national evaluation capacities and systems and increase the use of evaluation to get back on track to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. But developing national evaluation capacities cannot be done alone or in silos. Greater synergies and multi-stakeholder partnership, including with youth, are vital in this journey. In this regard, the regional dialogue today raises awareness, cross-fertilize actions and solutions, and mobilize partnership on this issue. These efforts will also expand the advocacy towards influential evaluation, which is the core focus of the Eval for Action campaign. Earlier this year, the campaign launched the Youth in Evaluation Manifesto, which is a public commitment to enhance the capacities and meaningfully participation of youth in evaluation. Involving youth in evaluation is key for the sustainability of evaluation and to boost national evaluation capacities. Youth engagement in evaluation also exponentially multiplies the power of evaluation to transform people's lives. The manifesto has over 500 signatures today, going from multilateral organizations like the World Bank, the Asian Development Bank, the African Development Bank, or the United Nations, to governments and academia and private sector. If you have not signed it already, I invite you to sign it at evalforaction.org. If you have already signed it, I encourage you to deliver your commitment. As I end, my congratulations to APEA, Eval Youth Asia, and the Asia Pacific Parliamentarian Forum for Evaluation for this important initiative. I wish the regional dialogue all the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Marco. Now I will take the opportunity to announce the launch of the Constitution of the Asia Pacific Parliamentarian Forum for Evaluation. Amongst all the great things that are happening, this is also one of the milestones that we have achieved. The Constitution includes the objectives, governing bodies, secretariat, AGM, finance accounts, adoption, amendment, dissolution, and transitional arrangements. Please stay tuned to the website, which will include all the information needed, required for you to go through this constitution. And a virtual round of applause for the executive committee members that are coming from Nepal, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Bhutan, Philippines, and Sri Lanka. So great work, everyone. And this really is a proud moment for all of us. And their contribution has really been a great support for everyone. Over to you, Rajni.
Thank you, Maha. Indeed, it is a great milestone for Asia Pacific region. And now we have a wonderful session by Dr. Asela. He will be giving us the insight on the evaluation globe findings on institutionalization of evaluation. Most of you already know Dr. Asela. He's the president of Asia Pacific Evaluation Association, and he's also the director for Center for Evaluation, University of Sri Jayawardena, Sri Lanka. Dr. Asela, floor is yours.
Thank you, Maha and Rajni, and warm greetings to all the participants. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. And also it's great to start this with opening remarks from our WOPE leaders, NEPS team leaders, as well as parliamentarians and youth leaders, and also development partners, global development partners. It's a great occasion to have everyone included. Let me start the presentation about institutionalization of evaluation, because now today the consultation is about, the dialogue is about national evaluation policies and systems. So how do we institutionalize national evaluation policies and systems in our countries? That's a challenge in many countries. How can we do that? And what are the countries which have successfully done that? Now, when it comes to the global context, as you may already know, we have the UN resolution on evaluation capacity building for the achievement of development results at country level, which was passed in December 2014. This is the first ever UN resolution for evaluation. And there is an effort to bring the next resolution on evaluation, focusing on country-led evaluations, but it is in process. Sorry. Then the other important global instrument is UN resolution on sustainable development goals, so Agenda 2030, adopted by all the member states, which needs use of evaluative evidence for achieving goals. And third document I would mention is Eval Partners Global Evaluation Agenda 2016-2020. Of course, the next agenda is being developed at the moment, but this one was endorsed in 2015. And in my personal opinion, it is still valid. The areas mentioned or the priorities mentioned in the Global Evaluation Agenda. Next one, please. Now, when it comes to institutionalization of evaluation, let's quickly run through some theoretical background. Robert Lahe mentioned 4 building blocks to have a proper monitoring and evaluation system in a country. One is vision of leadership, enabling environment, technical capacity to supply monitoring and evaluation, and other one is about demand. Demand and use of monitoring and evaluation information. At the same time, he mentioned 2 main domains: political will for change. We know that any important area, political will is important, and pace of development of M&E infrastructure. You need to have infrastructure for monitoring and evaluation within the country. So this will give us, some idea what are the key building blocks needed for a successful monitoring and evaluation system. Next one, please. Holbert and Renard mentioned 6 characteristics. One is policy, methodology, organization, capacity, participation, and use. As you can see that previous one also mentioned about use, capacity, and policy as well. Next one, please. Now, Marco Segane, who made the opening remarks a while ago, he categorized countries into 4 areas. One is evidence demand constrained countries. So demand is lacking, but supply is high. So these are evidence influenced, but demand constrained countries. And supply constrained countries, still the evidence influenced, but supply is constrained. Now, when it comes to other two categories, opinion based, there is no demand, there is no supply, it's just opinion based. And then when there is strong supply and strong demand, those are evidence based. So those are the four categories Marco Segone mentioned. Next one, please. Yes. So regarding the global evaluation agenda I mentioned, it is for 2016 and 2020. The theory of change includes enabling environment for evaluation, institutional capacities, individual capacities, and interlinkages of these three. Sorry. Now, you can see that even Robert Lahe mentioned about enabling environment. So these are the main areas that Global Evaluation Agenda mentioned. You can use the document. It is available online as well, the full Global Evaluation Agenda. Next one, please. Very quickly about studies on institutionalization of evaluation. I'm sure most of you know about International Atlas of Evaluation, the first systematic review on institutionalization of evaluation of OECD countries. So this does not include developing countries, and this does not include all the developed countries, but some developed countries, especially European countries, very few Asian countries, two North American countries like that. It covered 9 criteria: evaluation mentioned in policy domain, supply, and discussions and debate of evaluation at the national discourse, evaluation society exists, institutional arrangements, very important, institutional arrangements in the parliament, and evaluation exists within the policy domain, evaluation activities occur within the Supreme Audit Institution, and also mainly focus on outcomes. Those are the 9 criteria. Next one. And then they categorize in this study, countries were categorized. There were 19 countries, and then they repeated after 10 years in 2011, International Atlas 2, using the same countries. And then they realized that some countries improved the maturity in monitoring and evaluation systems. Now, most inclusive one is about global mapping on national evaluation policies and systems, conducted in 2013, 15, and 21 by the Parliamentarians Forum for Evaluation. It covered 115 countries in 2013, then 109 countries, and then 113 countries in 2021. This covers only national evaluation policies, systems a bit, but mainly policies. So it's scope-wise, it's limited, but it covered more than 100 countries. This is the only study covered more than 100 countries. But if you go to this study, you can realize that what are the countries having national evaluation policies. In 2013, it realized that only 20 countries by that time had an endorsed national evaluation policy worldwide. And most recent and most systematic study, most comprehensive, I would say, study on institutionalization of evaluation is Evaluation Globe. They have already published Evaluation Globe in Europe in 2020 and Americas in 2021. And Asia one is being finalized, still not final. But this has identified domains and criteria. I will explain in the next slide. Next one, please. Yeah, this is the framework they use for institutionalization. I think this is important for all of you. When you think about national evaluation system in your country, there are 3 main domains. One is the institutional structures, the political system, and societal system is the second one, and third one is system of professions. Institutional structures or political system includes whether there are regulations for evaluation, whether the parliament and audit structures use evaluation, organizational structure, whether there is dedicated institution within the government for evaluation, evaluation practice and use. Then societal dimension or social system, it's about whether the public has a discussion about evaluation, whether the public is aware of evaluation, whether they demand evaluation, whether they use evaluation, and whether the civil society demand and use evaluation. Let's see what are the results from different regions. And then profession, whether they are academic courses, whether there is war pay in the country, like that. Now, when it comes to results in Europe, this is the first one published in 2020. You can see the results. I'm not going country by country, but what I want to show is that this is how I have organized results under different domains: political system, social system, professionalization index. You know that what does it mean by political system and all from the previous slide. Now, when it comes to countries, you can see even in Europe, whether there is evaluation, regulation, or institution and all, this is out of 1, 0.36, 0.29, and 0.43. And most of the countries, they don't have, sufficient or interesting marks or score. Only country, Netherlands, has 0.86. I think I can't see the slide, the last one. Switzerland has the highest marks. And then social system, you can see that all the countries, it's 0.2, 0.1, this is out of 1, and some 0. And even for the political system, some European countries, 0. And professionalization index, Italy and Switzerland, I think 0.94, similar, that's the highest. So even for all the domains, Switzerland got highest marks, but Europe in Europe also, it's weak in many countries, if you take all three domains. And most weakest area is the social system. Next one, please. I also want to compare Europe, some of the European countries with 2001 International Atlas, 2011 International Atlas, and then 2020 Evaluation Globe. Of course, criteria are a bit different with 2020, but just to compare, you can see 2001 and 2011 scores are higher compared to 2020. Because the difference in 2020, there is one criteria, one domain about social system. Social system was not there in 2001 and 2011. When you have the social system, scores go down because social system is the weakest. This is the point I want to make. Next one, please. Now, when it comes to Americas, this includes Latin America and North America both. You can see that even in Americas, social system is the weakest. Of course, Mexico got highest marks, that is 0.5. That is the highest score in any region as well, 0.5 for social system. All the other countries, this is a weak area. But interestingly, Canada got 100% for professionalization. This is, not in other regions. And also USA got 100% for political system, including the regulations and all. So this is interesting in Americas. Next one, please. When it comes to Asia, I must say that these are very early draft results. This is not published yet. And there may be some changes to these results, but I'm presenting very quickly. You can see Australia is also included, and Australia has highest mark 0.94 for professionalization. And even in Asia, social system is the weakest, as you can see. And some of the countries represented today, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Japan, Korea, Nepal, Pakistan, Philippines, are here today. Next one, please. But this is, don't quote this Asia results because it's not published yet. The book will be released early next year. And very key lessons, as I mentioned, I have, I think, only 1 minute more. Political system and system of professions have some progress. Social system is very weak, and regulations are evident, but not become precondition for regular evaluations. And organizational setting has not spread widely across the public sector institutions. Parliament and audit officers do not play a significant role. And also there are some trends engaging parliamentarians and also engaging young and emerging evaluators. Next one. Very quickly, I want to mention that we already have an approach in Asia Pacific. Most of you are engaged with the regional evaluation strategy. And there are 8 themes. Under 8 themes, we try to address most of these domains and help countries to establish national evaluation policy and system. And this is very important. Marco mentioned in his speech, the world reached 8 billion, 1 or 2 weeks ago. And 60% of this population is in Asia Pacific. So we have the challenge more than any other region to achieve sustainable development goals. And to achieve sustainable development goals, using evidence from monitoring and evaluation is very important. So therefore, as stakeholders, governments, parliamentarians, Evaluate, WOPES, evaluation community, and development partners, we have to get together and strengthen national evaluation policies and systems in our countries. That's why we are doing regional dialogue every year. Thank you very much, and back to you, Maha.
Thank you so much, Asela. This was very informative, and we're hoping to get our hands on the book soon. Now I'm going to invite Mr. Randika Dimel, Manager APEA Co-Lead Evaluate Asia, and Hasati Co-Lead Evaluate Asia, Lead APC Hub, to share the results of the NEPS study for the Asia Pacific region.
Thank you, Maha. So as Maha mentioned, I'm going to talk about the NEPS study that we do annually on the national evaluation policies and systems in Asia Pacific region. And this is done under the NEPS team, like what which Asela mentioned, which is part of the Asia Pacific regional strategy. Next slide, Maha. So as you can see from this, under the promoting of NEPS team of the Asia Pacific Regional Evaluation Strategy, the team conducts an annual survey to assess the status of NEPS in the countries in the Asia Pacific region. So we send a survey out annually. Last year, the first time we did this study, there were 14 countries responded to the survey, and we presented the results during the regional dialogue. So this study actually helps to document the status of NEPS, and it helps to create a baseline. And for forums like this, it helps to promote NEPS in the region. And as you can see, based on the diagram, the main objective of the NEPS team is to increase the number of countries in the region embarking in developing NEPS. Next slide. So similar to last year, so studies that we do annually, this survey is designed based on 4 dimensions of the evaluation system based on the Eval Agenda 2020. So we look in the enabling environment, institutional capacities, standardizing capacities, and this year we looked into the WOPE capacities as well. So based on that, the survey study was conducted. And we sent it out to WOPEs, eValue chapters, parliamentarians, and government officials in the Asia Pacific region. And we received 29 responses from 15 countries. So this study is country-based. So we cross-checked all the responses through desk research. And like which Asela mentioned, we looked into the global mapping report that was conducted by Global Parliamentarians Forum for Evaluation, which has done a comprehensive study. So we cross-checked, and other studies as well. So this study helps to provide direct actions to WOPEs to follow up with respective national governments. Next slide. So as you can see from the map, these are the 15 countries that took part in this survey. So it's from all parts of Asia Pacific. But we are hoping in the future studies that we will do annually that we would like to see more countries respond to the survey. Next slide. So these are the 4 dimensions that were used, as I mentioned earlier. So first is the enabling environment, which looks into the legal environment and frameworks in terms of evaluation. The second, it was institutional capacities, where we looked into if there is a designation institution for evaluation, and if the Supreme Audit Institution conducts evaluation. And the third dimension that we looked into was standardizing evaluation, that we looked into if the countries have evaluation standards, evaluation guidelines, code of ethics, and competency frameworks. And finally, we looked at ROPE capacities, where if the countries have evaluation networks, partnerships, and if they have any champions in promoting NEPs. Next slide, please. So these are some of the initial results, but I'm not going to go over everything, but I will explain some of the key findings for the enabling environment. So as you can see, only country in Asia Pacific is Nepal that has evaluation integrated into their constitution. And Japan has an evaluation act in evaluation, and Azerbaijan has a degree in evaluation. And Sri Lanka is the only country in South Asia that has a national evaluation policy, which was endorsed by the cabinet in 2018. And Philippines has developed an evaluation policy by the National Economic and Development Agency and the Department of Budget and Management. And also from our findings, Australia has a Commonwealth evaluation policy, which is under the Department of Finance. And currently, Bhutan has a national evaluation policy, which is pending approval by the cabinet. And from our previous studies this year, we found that national evaluation policies are being drafted in India and Pakistan. So that's a good development. So we hope to see more countries develop national evaluation policies going forward this year and next year. Next slide. So based on the survey results, Sri Lanka, Nepal, and Japan have parliamentarian forum for evaluations. So which is showing that countries that have a parliamentarian forum for evaluation have some kind of legal framework for evaluation. So this shows it's important that countries in their country level also form parliamentarian forum for evaluation. Right now, we have, as you all saw, we have formed one in the Asia Pacific region. So we hope that this will help to strengthen NEPs in the region. And according also to the survey results, Bangladesh, Bhutan, Indonesia, Nepal, and Sri Lanka, the President or Prime Minister's office keeps track of evaluation for internal reviews. And then finally, also in Australia, Fiji, India, Japan, Philippines, and Tajikistan, government departments take into account the evaluation findings for learning and decision making. So we looked into this because it's important that evaluation findings are used for decision making at the policy level. And then in Nepal, the National Planning Commission considers evaluation findings while developing periodic national development plan. And in the Philippines, individual agencies have many units based on our findings. Next slide. So in terms of institutional capacities, majority of the surveyed countries, 12 out of 15, have a designated national public institution to lead the monitoring and evaluation function in their country. And as you can see from these results, 8 out of the 15 countries also publish evaluation reports online, which is important for learning, accountability, and transparency. So they publish in their respective agencies online, or reports get published in a central online repository. And finally, Australia, Bangladesh, India, Indonesia, and Nepal have a Supreme Audit Institution that conducts evaluation. So those are the only countries we found that where the Supreme Audit Institution conducts evaluations. And mainly they perform evaluation and process evaluation, and a few conduct outcome and impact evaluation. So those are the main findings from institutional capacity. Now I would like to pass it on to Hasiti to discuss the rest of the results.
Thank you, Nandika. So if we are to move into the findings on standardizing capacities, as Randika mentioned, we assess this aspect based on the status of evaluation guidelines, standards, code of ethics, and evaluation competencies. What we have found was only Australia, Nepal, and Philippines have published evaluation guidelines, while Bhutan has a draft on guiding principles for evaluation. In India, national evaluation standards are in process of drafting. However, none of the countries have published evaluation standards yet. On the status of code of ethics for evaluators, a published code of ethics for evaluators is available only in Australia. 3 countries, namely Australia, Japan, and Sri Lanka, have published evaluator competencies in the country, and India has a published evaluator competency framework focused on government staff competence. Next slide, please. Looking at the key findings on WOPE capacities, we found that networks of evaluators such as WOPE's evaluate chapters, evaluation networks, and parliamentarian forums are present in all countries except Azerbaijan and Cambodia. Other than the WOPEs and evaluate chapters, active parliamentarians forums are present in Sri Lanka and Nepal, which we consider as a good sign towards institutionalizing evaluation. In 13 out of 15 countries, these networks partner with each other for activities. According to the responses of Philippines, Pakistan, Nepal, Japan, India, Cambodia, Bhutan, and Bangladesh, these partnerships are frequent and also bring designated public institutions for evaluation on board. WOPEs in Afghanistan, India, Nepal, Pakistan, Philippines, Sri Lanka, and Tajikistan have thematic groups to promote NEPs, and the thematic groups in Sri Lanka, Philippines, Pakistan, and Nepal are actively engaged. Most respondents have identified WOPE members, government personnel, and academians and parliamentarians as the champions for promoting NEPs in their countries. And most countries are focusing on action towards formulating and finalizing policies and building capacities and raising the awareness of NEPs among parliamentarians. Next slide, please. Based on the study findings and interactions of regional dialogues and of course the brown bag series of APPEA, we came up with a few recommendations and action steps. In country context, all WOPEs should work as advocates on a common agenda to promote NEPs in the country, whereas APPEA and other able actors should take lead in this. Also, WOPEs should mobilize other national level stakeholders and closely work with young and emerging evaluators, enhancing synergies to build capacities and professionalization of evaluation. To bring evaluation in general discourse, publishing all evaluation reports and establishing system for discussions on evaluation and promote their use at the parliamentary level are encouraged. Also, all designated evaluation institutions should be brought together to learn from each other. Establishing nationally accepted guidelines, standards, competencies, creating partnerships, and of course, identifying champions to promote NEPs are highly recommended. Different countries are on different paths, and each need contextual support for institutionalizing their national evaluation systems. Therefore, cross-learning should be introduced, continued, and be promoted. Next slide, please. As for the action steps, I like to focus a few action items for the national WOPEs. National WOPEs should work closely with the designated public institutions for MNE and parliamentarians to institutionalize evaluation in their countries. Where there is no parliamentarians forum for evaluation, WOPEs should collaborate parliamentarians to establish these, to advocate for evaluation and to work toward creating a culture of evaluation in the parliament. WOPEs should establish and make functional evaluate chapters in their countries in coordination with Evaluate Asia and APPEA, and partner with them to promote young and emerging evaluator engagement in all spheres. Where there are more than one WOPEs in a country, they should collaborate among themselves and create an action group for promoting national evaluation policies and systems. Next slide. Yeah, that's it. As for our presentation, we would like to thank all the respondents of this study and Dr. Selaka Lugampitia for his motivation and guidance, and of course, all our authors for their hard work and continuous commitment to promote NEPs in the region. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Randika and Hasiti. You really covered the whole study very well. Thank you so much. And just to let you know that the full report is available in the website, as well as Madhuka has just shared with you all in the chat box. Now we have Dr. Soma De Silva. She will give us the, she's the discussant, and she will give us the key highlights on the presentations made so far. Just to introduce briefly, she's the former president of IOCE, and also she is the former evaluation advisor for UNICEF Regional Office of South Asia. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Soma, and Dr. Soma, the floor is yours. So Dr. Soma will be uploading her presentation. Dr. Soma, would you like to come in?
Yes, thank you very much, Rajni. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Right. I have to share the screen, so just give me a second.
Till then, I just want to request all of you to please put in your questions, your observation, your comments in the chat box. We will take it in the plenary discussion.
Okay. Can you see the screen now?
Yes, we can. Dr.
All right. So thank you so much, Rajni, for those kind words of introduction. And I would like to start by saying that it has been a great pleasure to see the work that has been done and presented today. I think they are giant steps in the process of making evaluation work for people. So congratulations to all those who made these surveys and studies possible, and also who presented them so effectively today. My task of identifying the highlights is quite a difficult task because there is so much substance in those two studies. If I could try to distill out what seemed very striking for me, it would be something like this. Okay. Right. In the next study, I will focus on the recommendations that were made. There were 4 dimensions: enabling environment, which talked about, which looked at the policies and parliamentary support. Then the study also looked at institutional capacities to examine whether there are dedicated institutions for evaluation, and supreme audit institutions, whether they conduct evaluations. Then there was the standardizing practices and capacities, which is a very, very important but a very problematic area. They looked at the ongoing efforts. And then they also looked at the capacities of the evaluators. So these are the dimensions that they looked at. And all of the findings, the recommendations that were so clearly and eloquently mentioned are valid, but I have just picked up a few to focus on. One is that we do not have enough countries with national evaluation policies, and it is believed that evaluation policies are necessary and useful to further forward the field of evaluation. So advocating for national evaluation policies, and also where there are no parliamentarians forums to establish them. They also highlighted the fact that the evaluation reports and the evaluations must be published, which is really very important. And then again, to encourage GIS and WOPACE to work together, which I think is also extremely important because these are up and coming. WOPACE, of course, have been there, but GIS and institutions that can, that if they work together can be more powerful, more forceful and effective. Then the question of standards, competencies, guidelines, and particularly competencies, as we all have some idea of, is something extremely, is fraught with difficulties, but is necessary. And different countries look at them in different ways. But moving in that direction, I think is very, very important for evaluation as a profession. And then for WOPACE, let me put this down a bit. They looked at the networks and working closely with designated public institutions, a very important recommendation, because I think there is a gap between public institutions doing their doing what they perceive and what they are assigned to do, and WOPACE doing what they can to improve the capacities, etc. They are separate efforts, but working together, if that is possible, I think would be a great step forward. And again, bringing the youth, giving the flow and environment for youth to come up would be, I think, extremely helpful the way they have explained it. Then in Dr. Saylor's presentation of, again, what is a very important study, very important because it is across the globe, because it is looking at very critical issues. It looked at three, I would even call them pillars: political systems, social systems, and system of professionals. The study itself and the findings are, I think, very, if I may say so, eye-opening. It's a very vivid, very detailed description of what is going on. Now, the findings are so many and so, in a way, I would say so complex. I thought, what can be presented as the highlight? I thought, let's take the regions separately and look at the highest score in the three systems that has been achieved in any region, because that will give us kind of a rough and ready idea of where each region is. So if we plot that information, it would look something like this. So here are the three regions, and the green is professional, and this is the middle one is that is the orange bar is political, and the last one in brown color shows social. Again, what this shows is the index that the study has calculated for each of these domains in each region. So as Dr. Saylor mentioned, the striking thing that is visible in these studies, in this study, is that for some reason, the social index is the lowest. So that is the participation of people in evaluation, their demands on evaluation, which reflect many other aspects of the public view of evaluation, such as their understanding for the need of evaluation, and their efforts to use evaluation seems to be minimum. That said, I would say if we had data for previous years, perhaps this might represent some improvement. So we don't have previous information, but for the moment, we know that the society's engagement in evaluation, to demand evaluation, to use evaluation, is something that in the future, the evaluation community and society together must work on. Because that's a pretty important component if we are going to make evaluation help our people. It is happy to see the professional indices are high, but we may have to stop and think, what does that mean? Have we captured all of the dimensions of the professional domain that are critical? And I want to, at this point, bring my own personal biases into it. One cannot help doing that. I believe very strongly that all our efforts should ultimately help to make evaluation usable and used. Now we have seen in various literature that evaluation use is pretty low. If you look at the VNR reports, evaluation is hardly mentioned. Reviews have said it's a missed opportunity to use evaluation. So we may have to go deeper now to see what these things mean. And political also seems to have, this is, remember, on the best country. It is not a mean or an average, but it's a best country. That is the best that has been achieved so far. But if you look at the averages, the trend, I mean the parallel, the differentials might be the same. So, so I think these are extremely interesting, very almost I think it's for the first time, inclusive and also worldwide studies. It's very creditable, very commendable, and they were very well presented. I would now say that a gap that might exist here is evaluation research. Can we understand why this is the situation? I think that's a gap. And then see whether we can address those reasons to move further forward. So again, thanking very much to the organizers and the presenters. I will end the presentation of highlights at this point. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Soma. You are right. It is indeed very difficult to cover both the presentation, but you've really done it well. Now we'll go on to the country presentations.
Thank you so much, Dr. Soma. And you rightly pointed out about the gap, which is research. And to sort of step up and fill this gap in our capacities today, we're going to have country presentations on status of national policies and systems. And for that, the first presentation is by Dr. Remolo from Philippines. He is the Director General, Congressional Policy and Budget Research Department, House of Representatives, Philippines, and also the Vice President of Asia Pacific Parliamentarians Forum for Evaluation. Dr. Remolo, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Maha. Yes, good day, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity. First, in 2015, our central planning agency, the National Economic Development Authority, and the Department of Budget and Management issued a joint circular establishing the National Evaluation Policy Framework. And I think this is a very important document because while in the Philippines, almost all agencies have their monitoring and evaluation units, they are of varying capabilities and capacities. And these M&E units of the different agencies actually work in silos. Of course, given their varying capacities, they produce different standards, and most of these evaluation and monitoring reports are kept within the agency. And so this National Evaluation Policy Framework provides for the general guidelines on establishing the preparation and use of monitoring evaluation studies, establishing the principles, the guidelines, as well as the institutional arrangement. For instance, creating a task force that would issue the guidelines so that would guide the different agencies in the conduct of their monitoring and evaluation. This is, I think, is very important because the challenges, the development challenges that we are facing are very complex problems, and that requires really the different agencies of the government to be working closely, and even the evaluation studies to be and M&E units to be talking to each other. So this National Evaluation Policy Framework provides for that guiding environment. And following this framework, the two agencies initiated the development of the National Evaluation Policy Guidelines in order to operationalize the framework. But unfortunately, this was during towards the end of an administration, and the succeeding administration was not too keen on following through with these developments. And so for in the last 6 years, nothing much has happened. And we in the working in the parliament find it very important to push for the legislation of this national evaluation policy, so that it will not be dependent on the priorities or support of the administration, as it will be provided for as a mandate of the different agencies. And at the same time, the policy will cover all branches of government, because the National Evaluation Policy Framework, as it is, covers only the executive branch. And so we thought that the institutionalization by law of a national evaluation policy will be helpful. So at the moment, next slide, please. We in the parliament, together with our counterpart in the executive department, as well as with the support of the United Nations Development Program and the United Nations Children's Fund, who are very whom we can consider as champions in terms of promoting evaluation, regularly organize M&E Network Forum. In the same time, we here in the House of Representatives organize a National Evaluation Policy Forum in order to sensitize and make our legislators aware of the importance of evaluation. And in these different forums, we present certain evaluation studies that we think will be of interest to legislators, and that's how they see the importance of the evidence that are or data that are generated by the studies towards creating the support for the institutionalization of the conduct of evaluation studies. But unfortunately, as of now, I think still the champions of evaluation are also working somewhat in silos, not really coordinating as much as needed. And I think that is one of the things that we will be addressing in the next as we go forward. Fortunately, our Central Planning Agency, who is the champion for the practice of evaluation in the country, sorry, was I muted all along?
No.
Okay,
We
sorry.
were able to hear you.
So with that, they have already established a national evaluation portal. And in the next Philippine Development Plan, because we are now at the beginning of the next administration, the inclusion of a national evaluation policy as an integral part of seeing to it or following through the developments of the implementation of the Philippine Development Plan will be used as a major instrument. So we think that this is a very positive development. And here from the House of Representatives and in the Senate, we think that this will also be a good signal for our legislators to realize the importance of evaluation, as our central planning agency has already included this in the development plan and noted its importance in terms of ensuring the achievements of the development plan. So next slide, please. I think we are now, so in terms of our next action for strengthening the evaluation ecosystem, in summary, we think that really the institutionalization of a national evaluation policy, hopefully by legislation, that will cover the whole government, all of the branches of government, from the executive, the legislative, and the judiciary, as well as the subnational government units, covered by this policy would be useful in terms of establishing an environment that would maximize the benefit and use of evaluation in terms of addressing our development objectives. And of course, I think we already have the strong buy-in of our central budget and finance authorities, as the national evaluation policy is already part of the next Philippine Development Plan, the next medium-term Philippine Development Plan. Towards this end, we are planning to hold more regular meetings and so that all the champions of evaluation can work together and complement each other. And in this way, especially with very limited resources of the government, I think we will see more the importance of evidence and the use of evaluation in the decision-making of the government. So with that, again, I think this is my last slide. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Romulo. Now I'm going to invite Dr. Phuntsho Chodin from Bhutan. She's the chairperson of Evaluation Association of Bhutan. Welcome.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the introduction, and it's a great pleasure for me to represent EAB in this forum and to present about my country. And I welcome every one of you here. On the institutional arrangement, Bhutan has already developed a national evaluation policy and protocol, and there is a MNE system that started in 2006, and the manual 2006 is a guiding document at the national level, at the country level, and this manual is getting reviewed currently. And as many countries are, Bhutan is also undergoing a major reforms currently, particularly in the area of public service organizations. And with that, the designated public institution for evaluation has changed now. And now it is the Office of Cabinet Affairs as an institution for evaluation, and Ministry of Finance for monitoring. Strategic Evaluation Division in the Cabinet Office serves as a secretariat and promote the use of evaluation. There is also a committee of 4 coordinating secretaries as the highest decision-making body that also oversee evaluation in the country. Next slide. And on the partnership front, EYB, the Evaluate Bhutan, VOPE members, as well as the government are working closely in strengthening the MNE ecosystem. And there has been several events and discussions to promote NEPS in the country starting 2014. And these events included from consultative meetings to rounds of high-level meeting among the ministers and the secretaries on the evaluation. And Bhutan also observed International Year of Evaluation and hosted a number of conclaves. And also we partner with the regional and the global WOPEs in promoting evaluation culture as well as evaluation practice. And our members of WOPE and the members of Able Youth and the officials from the relevant organization, particularly for the designated public institution in the country, are the champions promoting NEPS in the country. And the Strategic Evaluation Division represents the government and the EAB representing CSOs. And there are also individuals who engage in promoting the dialogues on promoting NEPS. Next slide, please. And on the actions, there are works going on in establishing a vibrant and promoting a vibrant evaluation ecosystem in the country. But the more efforts are required at the moment to finalize the national evaluation policy and national monitoring and evaluation manual, which is under review currently. And also there's a need to commission more evaluation by the government in order to promote the practice of evaluation as well as to generate demand for evaluation. And as a resource poor country, there are a lot of disadvantages also when we see that. Generally, we believe that consultations and evaluation meetings are a way to connect various stakeholders, but we have not been able to do this as frequently as required due to the funding constraints. And again, like we also believe that translation of evaluation knowledge in local languages are key to promote evaluation culture and evaluative thinking about among the people, but we are not able to practice this also due to resource constraints in the country. So with this, I would like to end my presentation and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Dr. Phuntsho. Next, we have from Sri Lanka, Mr. Honorable Tilaka Raja. He's the former Member of Parliament, Sri Lanka, from 2015 to 2022.
Hello, everyone. Can I have my presentation? Yeah. Thank you very much for the opportunity and the very good settings and arrangements today's event. As from Sri Lanka, yes, institutional arrangements for evaluation. All you know about already, there are some presenters who are mentioning that Sri Lanka National Evaluation Policy approved by the Cabinet of Ministers in 2018. Actually, it was initially drafted in 2003. And the Department of Project Management and Monitoring is the body at the moment that in charge of that monitoring matters, not evaluation, but this is the institutional mechanism we have from the government side. And there are some development I'll show in the next slides. And the National Evaluation Bill is ready in a draft level, finalized by the Parliament Select Committee into the 2020. Both the images are here, but the policy that we have and the draft bill, it's in process to get the approval from the Parliament. And there was a Parliament Select Committee, of course, to draft this bill. That committee's recommendations are very important. Actually, that I was one of the member of the committee. That we recommend as a committee that enact the bill in the Parliament first. Then establish a standing committee on evaluation in the Parliament is another recommendation. And already we have the Parliament Research Unit in the Parliament, and we recommend that to enhancing the Parliament Research Unit as a Parliament Research and Evaluation Unit. Next slide, please. Yeah, of course. Then as a partners, youth chapters, of course, that even in this event, our young emerging evaluators are very active, and especially in Sri Lanka, they are very active, and they are supporting in all means to get this evaluation system in practice. As a professional part, Sleva doing amazing work on evaluation things, especially as a president. Dr. Asile Kalugampitia is playing a major role with all the stakeholders, with the policymakers and OP leaders and the public institution and academia as well, that is playing a role to get this done. And the policymakers from side the Sri Lanka Parliamentarian Forum for Evaluation under the chair of the Honorable Anand Kumarasiri, who is appeared in this photo. Actually, this image shows that Global Parliamentarian Forum chair, Honorable Kabira Singh there, and Sri Lankan ex-president, when we were in the Colombo Declaration in Colombo. That was one of the biggest events Sri Lanka had to collaborate with all the other stakeholders all over the world. And presently, the Prime Minister, the current Prime Minister and the President are interested in evaluation to be institutionalizing in Sri Lanka. Of course, now the present President was the Prime Minister then to declare the Sri Lanka National Evaluation Policy. Next slide, please. Actions for strengthening evaluation, of course, that, yeah, Parliament, Honorable Prime Minister, take the leadership to submit the draft bill to the Cabinet of Ministers. At the moment, still we are dealing with them to have a review meeting on the draft bill. And the universities, state universities are very keen interested in professionalization evaluation. We had that the image shows that we have visited Dr. Asela, Dr. Soma, and our team that we have visited several universities here to get professionalization evaluation in the university level. And the Public Officers Association and CSO also recommending evaluation in development intervention. Of course, Sri Lanka Administrative Service Officers Union, they have recommended to have a secretariat, national secretariat for evaluation is a better thing. It still is in the proposed level, but we hope that we can incorporate that also to the in the review meeting with the Parliament and all. And the Sri Lanka Department of, as I say, the Department of Project Management and Monitoring under the Ministry of Finance to create awareness and build capacity to establish the National Evaluation Policy Implementation Framework already submitted to the Cabinet. That's another development that we could see in Sri Lanka. But the only thing is the work it's done in the international language, English language, that we intend to make the environment on evaluation in local languages as well to make the people participation, as Dr. Asela says, the social participation, how that could be data that could be converted into local languages that we believe. So that's the presentation from Sri Lankan side. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Honorable Tilaka Raja. Now we'll just take a small poll. It has been quite a long morning. So I'm going to launch a poll and I would request all of you to please participate. So we have a question over here. We just had a presentation from Sri Lanka and there's a question for you all to answer. The question is, when was Sri Lanka's national evaluation policy approved by the Cabinet of Ministers? The responses are coming in. The options that you see is 2003, 2018, 2020. We're going to take it very quickly, and we've already seen that the participants are voting very quickly. And just a few seconds, and I'm going to end the poll. I see that the responses are coming in, and since we have
more than 50% have participated.
Yes, I just keeping the time in mind, I'm going to end the poll right here. And here goes the result. As you see that most of you, majority of you have said it's 2018, but there are some responses that says that 2003 is the year that national evaluation policy was approved. And we also have some participants who've voted for 2020. And just to let you know the right answer, well, the national evaluation policy was drafted drafting initiated in 2003. And the correct answer is 2018. But then 2020 is very important for Sri Lanka because national evaluation bill is drafted and now it's ready to be approved by Parliament Select Committee in Evaluation. So thank you so much for participating in this quick poll.
Thank you, Rajani, for this quick and informative breather.
And now we'll continue. Yeah, thank you so much. Now we'll continue with the presentation. We have Ms. Urvashi Prasad. She is director from DMEO, Niti Aayog from India. Urvashi, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So I'll, just quickly go through the India presentation. So in terms of institutional arrangements, as of 2017, the government has made continuation or extension of schemes and programs contingent on evaluation findings. We have developed what we call an output-outcome monitoring framework, wherein we track the outputs and outcomes for all the major government schemes, and we present them in the parliament along with the budget every year, union budget. So the idea is that we move from budgetary outlays towards outputs and outcomes. The emphasis should shift towards outputs and outcomes rather than just tracking budgetary outlays. Of course, the Government of India has rested the function of evaluation formally within the Development Monitoring and Evaluation Office, which is an attached office of Niti Aayog, which is the premier policy think tank of the government. And we have been tasked with monitoring and evaluating various policy frameworks and programs and schemes of the central government. As part of our overall role, we have drafted a national evaluation policy framework, which adapts the best practices and learnings from across the world. And also, this is what's happening at the national level, but there's also a lot of action happening at the state level, because as you know, in India, states are as large as countries themselves. So state governments also have various policy and legislative arrangements for evaluation. Next slide, please. So this is just a mapping of the stakeholders, and through this, we also want to reflect the partnerships that we have for national evaluation policy systems. So of course, we have the government at the highest levels, the Prime Minister's office, the highest level of the bureaucracy, which is the Cabinet Secretariat, Niti Aayog and DMEO, as I already mentioned. We also have a Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, which tracks all the data-related work for all the different programs and schemes. But aside from the government, we also have a lot of partnerships with civil society organizations, philanthropic organizations, research institutions, universities, as well as on the information technology side. We have a national informatics center, which actually is helping us with a lot of technology upgradation to make our data systems for monitoring and evaluation much stronger. Next slide, please. So in terms of actions for strengthening the evaluation ecosystem, as I said, we have drafted a national evaluation policy framework. We are also partnering with state governments, technical experts, and academic institutions to strengthen the evaluation.
Urvashi, we can't hear you.
We are sharing, on the basis of evaluation of major central government schemes, and we are disseminating these best practices to state governments through various webinars, and we also organize capacity building sessions with various state governments on monitoring and evaluation. So this is the India presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Urvashi. Now we have the presentation from Nepal, and we have Mr. Gokul Khadka, and he's the Undersecretary of National Planning Commission, Nepal. Mr. Gokul, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Dear respected sir and madams, good morning. My presentation are in 3 segments. The first one is institutional arrangements of evaluation in Nepal. Next slide, please. Evaluation policy in Nepal is current 15th periodic plan. our constitution also mention evaluation systems in the constitution. Evaluation Act is under the preview of Parliament. I hope the new Parliament will pass our evaluation bill as soon as possible. In the absence of Act, we have National Monitoring and Evaluation Guideline. Can you see this one? This National Monitoring and Evaluation Guideline 2019 as an administrative regulation. It is applicable for all government institution. Monitoring and Evaluation Division in National Planning Commission is the designated institution for the MNE. There is also National Development Action Committee that is chaired by Prime Minister as an advisory body, as well as a planning committee for evaluation. Next slide, please. Partnership for Nepal Evaluation Policy System. There is Community of Evaluators, COE Nepal, Society of Monitoring and Evaluation Nepal, SOM Nepal, Nepal Evaluation Society, NES, Evaluate, are voluntary organization of professional evaluators, BOPEs. There is also parliamentary forums for evaluation. Interaction meeting, networking meetings between BOPEs and sectoral ministry are being held as per requirement. Evaluation forum organized by BOPEs with coordination National Planning Commission. In last October, COE Nepal had organized in Kathmandu Evaluation Conclave 2022 with consultation of National Planning Commission. Capacity development programs in the evaluation sector are organized by NPC and BOPEs jointly. Members of BOPEs, government personnel, academician, and parliamentarians are champion of evaluation in Nepal. Please, next slide. The last segment of my presentation is action for strengthening evaluation ecosystem in Nepal. Integrated evaluation action plan, second phase in under process of approval for 2022 to 2026. Internal and external evaluation programs are carried forward by National Planning Commission with coordination sectoral ministry. So far, we have more than 50 project and programs evaluation are reposited in our website. Everyone can see. Interaction meetings, networking meetings, and capacity development programs are tools to make engagement various stakeholders in the evaluation ecosystem. I think that's in my presentation. Thank you very much. I'm finished in time. Goodbye.
Thank you so much. Now, from Afghanistan, I'm going to invite Qudratullah Jahid, board member of Afghan Evaluation Society, for the presentation.
Thank you, Maha, and hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today. Next slide, please. So Afghanistan's story, unfortunately, is different to many of countries that presented here today. So the government of Afghanistan, the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan, actually collapsed last year, and the rule was overtaken by an interim administration run by the Taliban. The interim administration have actually decided to keep some of the institutions that I'm going to talk about later, but right now there is issue of functioning. And with from another perspective, there has been a huge shift from development focused evaluations and from development development to humanitarian assistance and focus on emergencies in Afghanistan. In the past, the Afghan government had conducted a national monitoring and evaluation assessment. A national monitoring and evaluation policy framework was drafted at the president's office. And we also had a national monitoring and evaluation forum process within the government agencies, kind of a community of practice for standardization practices. Next slide, please. In addition to that, the institutions involved were Administrative Office of the President, the Ministry of Economy, mainly focused on SDGs as the Secretariat, Ministry of Finance having an influential role due to obviously budgetary controls, the Joint National and Monitoring and Evaluation Committee, MEC, and National Statistics and Information Authorities, and the PMUs, the project management units run by various donors within ministries. So all these entities had influential roles in the evaluation in the past. And with the current interim administration, many of these structures actually exist. They have not been formally abolished or formally announced not to exist. But the issue is lack of actually a capacity and lack of resources allocated to them. So there is actually, we don't actually see anything coming out of these different entities. Next slide, please. Afghan Evaluation Society has been active in Afghanistan even during transition and now. So we're doing our part. Some of the development partners had done evaluations in the past. The Asia Foundation doing their survey of Afghan people, the ARU, SIGAR mainly focused on the US aid in Afghanistan. Next slide, please. Currently, there are evaluations mainly focused on emergencies and humanitarian settings conducted by the UNs and international NGOs. Afghan Evaluation Society, in collaboration with OECD, DAC Network on Development Evaluation, is conducting an Afghanistan learning study. The focus of that is learning from the evaluation and how can other countries in similar conflict-affected contexts learn from Afghanistan. We expect to complete the study within the next few months, and hopefully some of the results should be available to everyone globally. And with that, thank you, everyone. Over.
Thank you so much, Jahid. We're looking forward to reading the study. Next, we have from Japan, Mr. Taka Mayagochi, member of International Exchange Committee, Japan Evaluation Society. Welcome, Dr. Taka.
Thank you. I would like to quickly introduce the progress and update of Japan. First, thank you. National Evaluation Policies and Systems of Japan, as all the other colleagues were presenting on a set of laws, acts, etc. from Japanese case. We do have a set of actually 3 acts that comprises the evaluation system that has been effective since 2001. Which mandates government agencies to conduct and implement mainly internal evaluation of their policies. That's one. And second, with this evaluation system, there has been institutional system or structure for policy evaluation, and that has been effective, as I said, from 2001. And for this evaluation system, as many as 22 government offices and agencies, they are now required to report their internal evaluation. And second, there is, on top of this evaluation system, second is administrative project review, and this has been effective since 2011, and wherein internal review of approximately 5,000 projects or programs are mandated to be evaluated and reported by each government institution. And on top, we now have a third layer, so to say, of reporting and evaluating. That is evidence-based policy making, EBPM. But this is happening on a kind of a trial basis, but this is happening since 2017. All these 3, 1, 2, 3, these must be conducted every year. So we can understand how overloaded, so to say, of these government agencies. And having said that, there has been, of course, a lot of criticism against this current and existing evaluation system. Main criticism mainly find itself in heavy reliance on internal evaluation, that is to say, self-reporting or M&E practice, because of first, modalities of conducting evaluation is not really set. It's up to each agency. And also modalities of conducting external third-party assessment is also up to each agency. So next slide, please. Yeah, and having said that, what's needed in theory, which is not listed in a slide, what's needed in theory is there is a need to improve Japan's evaluation system by creating highly capable external or independent evaluation specialists or division or industry. That's for sure. And of course, we will not be able to realize that in a couple of years, of course not. But as one way to contribute to achieving that goal, Japan Evaluation Society has been working hard to contribute as much as possible. As I'm going to skip the number of memberships, but for example, JES has now has been running certified evaluator programs that certifies professional evaluator, specialty or education evaluator, as well as advanced evaluator. And some recent activities are listed there on the right side because of that. I have already run out of time. So thank you. You can actually read the activities of JES. Thanks so much. Sorry, yes, anyhow.
Thank you so much. And before we go on to the presentation from Pakistan, I'll just quickly do the second poll. And so here's the question for you all. Which of the two countries in the region has translated OECD DAC in their own local languages? Okay, so we see the responses coming in.
This is going to be interesting.
Yes. Okay, so just
Quickly,
few seconds, and then I'm going to end the poll.
Quickly, just pick two countries.
Okay, we almost 50% of the participants have already voted. So I'm going to share the result. Here's the result, but the correct answer is last year it was Pakistan, right, Maha? And this year Japan. Japan has already the draft is ready, and so Pakistan and Japan is the right answer. So now we go on to the presentation from Pakistan, and here we have Kazim Abbas Shah, and he's the director of M&E Planning Commission, Government of Pakistan. Mr. Kazim, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Rajani. And thank you all for providing a second time this opportunity to present the national systems in Pakistan. Next, please. As mentioned, I am Kazim Abbas Shah and working as Director Monitoring and Evaluation for Planning Commission and also founding member of Pakistan Evaluation Association. And the first, the institutional systems, what they exist in the Pakistan, actually the Planning Commission is an apex body that is chaired by the Prime Minister of Pakistan. Then we have the M&E system for the M&E of public sector development programs and donor funded programs. And then we have the provinces at the subnational level M&E systems. And before that, the 40 ministries actually have somehow a weaker M&E systems. And then the provinces, and especially I would like to mention the Punjab province has a very strong M&E and have the policy, approved policy of the M&E of the projects. And the there is no any national evaluation policy at the national level, but after the first dialogue in participation from my side, actually initiated some process for the formulation of national evaluation policy, and advocated for some national level forums, but that is very important for us actually to have the national level policy. And then the further strengthening of projects wing also took some steps to have the HR, quality HR, and we also took the initiative of the M&E framework development. Next, please. Next, please. So we have the designated in M&E system at the Planning Commission level, as I mentioned earlier, and then the ministries at the 40 ministries who are actually the sponsoring ministry for the Planning Commission, implementing the major chunk of the development program, and the other provinces I mentioned that, and then as earlier mentioned, we have initiated the M&E policy formulation at the Planning Commission level, which is in process after having the formation of M&E policy committee for the formulation of M&E policy. And before that, we initiated the step, and M&E framework has been developed. And then we actually looking forward the review of the M&E manual actually, which is formed in 2007, that needs actually revision for the further updation of this manual. And there is no any, evaluation
1 more minute for
advisory.
you.
Okay, and but the overall administration of the Planning Commission is actually looking after all the M&E system in Pakistan. Next, please. Next, please. And then we have the volunteer organizations, especially I would like to mention here the Pakistan Evaluation Association, which is very much leading the process for the promotion of evaluation, especially Horasnan and Ma is here. I'm myself from the public sector, the Sara and Zain, and some other people are actually the champion for this, the strengthening of an national evaluation system. And then we have, as mentioned, we actually, the first thing is that we also invited the private sector, INGOs, academia during the formulation of this M&E policy for the national level, and that is in process now. Thank you. Next. As mentioned earlier, most of the things have been covered now. The steps we have actually in the formulation of the framework, we formulated the M&E framework, M&E policy in process, and some actually organization like SERP actually come into the partnership with the Planning Commission for the strengthening of M&E system. They have also delivered a M&E training for the staff of the M&E staff of the Planning Commission. We are also in a process for manual development to review the outdated M&E manual. Actually, the PIA forum invited provided the forums for the connection for all the academia and the private sector and the INGOs, donors during the formulation of M&E policy. And we, as mentioned, we translated the OECD DAC criteria in Urdu and also promoted in the public sector, which is very much appreciated by the public sector for the understanding of that OECD DAC criteria. Next, please. And thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kazim. Now we'll go on to another presentation from Fiji. We have Sakio, and he is the co-lead of Evaluate Pacific. Kazim, Sakio, the floor is yours.
Bulovinaka and Pacific Greeting Regine and colleagues. It is my pleasure to be in this presentation, this dialogue, to present to you the some of the findings that we have that we've had from the desktop review, and some of the records that we look at from one of our partner, UNFPA Pacific Office, Intel, on their result-based management training that they conducted in the Pacific, and including Fiji, and some of the implementing. Some of the participants that were part of the training included Ministry of Health, Medical Services, Education, and as well as Youth and Sports. And it's also, the finding have also come out of the phone calls that were made to the Fiji Parliament's office. Fiji is currently preparing for the elections 2014, and so very briefly, I'll be presenting on some of these institutional regulations. In terms of the Fiji side, the Fiji Auditor General Office focuses only on the audit function for government ministries, departments, statutory bodies, and reports to Parliament. And all their publication reports are in their office websites. You can just type Fiji Auditor General Office to find some of their reports. And in terms of sectors, ministries like the health and education, they perform evaluation function, but they do not have internal guidelines. And evaluation is still donor-driven, using donors' evaluation policies and guidelines. There have been no government mandate evaluation reports. And in 2018, UNDP supported the Fiji Planning Office in the Ministry of Economy on the development of an MDG, SDG, and development indicators database called Fiji Info. The functionality is not known. Some ministry maintain a database of their sectoral indicators for their sector, corporate plan, and relevant SDG indicators, like the Ministry of Health and Medical Services. Next slide, please. The capacities of OPIS, so Evaluate Pacific and Fiji Monitoring Evaluation Society was formed in 2021. At the moment, in terms of Fiji Monitoring Evaluation Society, they have 22 active members, 11 of which are independent evaluators who are doing consultancy in Fiji and also in some of the donor partners agency, including the United Nations. And we have a very diverse group of members from, most of these independent evaluators previously worked in government. And in terms of plan interaction modalities, we normally have a pocket meetings and also interact on social media, such as Facebook. And yes. Next slide, please. So we have no formal arrangement. We have no formal arrangement with any designated institute, but there have been conversations among some of our key donor partners, such as UNFPA Pacific Office and UNICEF, for us to work together informations to formally register Fiji Monitoring Evaluation Society under the laws of Fiji. And hopefully that will happen next year. Because these two agencies are well advanced within the UN systems in terms of evaluations, and they have the technical capacity and financial resources as well to support. And thank you very much. Yeah, this is the contact details. Vasiti Tele and Gaston Valu, they are the Secretariat for Fiji Evaluation, Fiji Monitoring Evaluation Society. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sekio. So just an announcement, if there's anything that is left in the country presentations, you can take it forward in the plenary discussion that's going to happen after the country presentations. So now from Australia, I'm going to invite Ms. Kim Gray, Member Relationships Committee, Australian Evaluation Association. Over to you, Kim.
Thank you very much, and thanks for the opportunity to participate. The Australian situation is very like some of the other countries that have talk to us today. Australia has a Commonwealth evaluation policy, which is a principle-based approach, and the principles are listed there, and you can find them on our Department of Finance's website. The policy applies to all Commonwealth departments, and it is a legislative arrangement. The Department of Finance provides a really useful toolkit of resources and guidance to support implementation, and the policy encourages and supports an organisational culture of evaluation to support leadership and ongoing learning. Australia is a federation, so it also has quite strong state and territory government approaches to evaluation. Next slide, please. I'm representing the Australian Evaluation Society today, and I also work within Commonwealth Government. And the AES is the main VoIP in Australia. It has done a range of different things over years to have partnerships with the Commonwealth Government, and the Department of Finance has also recently started a community of practice to share information about how the Commonwealth policy is being embedded and to seek feedback on the toolkit. However, there are no formal partnerships at the Commonwealth level. There are informal collaboration arrangements with academics and other professionals. We have some academics writing on evaluation and how it could develop more strongly in Australia. I've listed some names there, and there are others. And we have some media, some journals and newspapers that specialise in public sector issues, which provide really interesting insights into how things are progressing for Australia. Next slide, please. And here's a few of the actions underway. The Australian Evaluation Society holds an annual conference. Of course, we couldn't do that in the pandemic, but we got back up and running this year. And we held a panel event with a great discussion about the approach to evaluation. We also have an Australian Public Sector Evaluation Network in the AES, and the AES takes an interest in government inquiries into issues. The current government has announced that it will look into the issues of how central evaluation could be strengthened, and the Evaluation Society is currently doing our first state of evaluation study. So that's the actions I've covered today, and thank you very much for the time.
Thank you so much, Kim. And now we have Kyrgyzstan, and from Kyrgyzstan, I'm going to invite Ms. Nazgul. She's a member of Kyrgyz Network of Femini. Hello.
Hello, Maha.
Hi, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. So let me welcome the participants of today's virtual meeting on behalf of the Kyrgyz National Monitoring and Evaluation Network. I hope that everything is fine in your part of the world. So let me start my presentation with a short overview of the historical background and the development stages of the monitoring and evaluation in Kyrgyzstan. So for 55 years, Kyrgyzstan was part of the USSR, the Union of Soviet Socialistic Republics, among the 16 republics. And the government of Kyrgyzstan at that time had no experience of holistic approach to planning. And because some the strategic decisions were previously made in Moscow. And in 1991, Kyrgyz Republic and the other 15 republics became an independent because of the collapse and breakup of the Soviet Union. And the government of Kyrgyzstan started creating its national planning structure, mostly encouraged by the international financial institutions. And as a result of this transition, it is created, the Kyrgyzstan government created a number of strategic documents, and among them is the National Strategy for Poverty Reduction, Actually, this is the first document which integrated monitoring and evaluation system. And since then, monitoring and evaluation became an integral part of each country program. In 2014, Kyrgyzstan enforced a bill which required the integration of monitoring and evaluation system to all legal regulations, legislative acts. And among 193 countries, Kyrgyzstan rectified the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, and it has also revisited its monitoring and evaluation system, tracking the SDG indicators. And nowadays, in 2022, Kyrgyzstan became the presidential republic. It was previously parliamentary. And the achievement of the SDG indicators now is overviewed and managed by the presidential office as a special department for monitoring the SDGs. And Kyrgyzstan also was the first country in the Central Asia which developed and integrated the green growth indicators on the national level in partnership with UNDP, UNEP, OECD, and later on this practice was disseminated, replicated in other Central Asian countries. Next slide, please. Thank you very much. So I see from the country presentations that many countries were very successful in integrating and institutionalizing the monitoring and evaluation system in their countries. But in terms of Kyrgyzstan, it's a little difficult. It's tricky and challenging because of this unstable political situation. So we've changed several presidents, prime ministers, and we've changed our constitution, and this reshuffling and the change of the government structure so prevents us from the progress, from the breakthrough in the monitoring and evaluation system. So, and what is permanent, what is sustainable is the Kyrgyz Monitoring and Evaluation Network, actually, and it's an institutional memory which preserves the previous achievements in terms of M&E. And this time, Kyrgyz M&E representatives management, they are meeting with the newly elected people again, telling them what has been achieved so far and what we have to do and which way to follow. And actually, the M&E network consists of representatives of academia from Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, and Russia. We are the member of the International Organization for Cooperation in Evaluation. We also the member of International Interregional Initiative for Professionalization of Evaluation. So I want to say that it really deserves high attention and appreciation. So, and in terms of partnerships, so we are continue partnering with the Kyrgyz national government, ministries, and we deliver a number of trainings in integrating the monitoring and evaluation system. And the network also developed a number of courses and manuals in integrating the M&E. We deliver some capacity building activities and hope that this year it will be stable and we will be still lucky to integrate the M&E system. We also cooperate with the National Academic high educational institutions to integrate the courses on M&E, and we started creating the M&E chapter in our network, and we will share also with the successes of these initiatives. Thank you very much, and if you have questions, please write them up and I will try to respond as soon as possible. Thank you very much. Stay in touch.
Thank you so much, Nazgul. Now we go on to another presentation from Indonesia. And here we have Benedictus Dwigers, and he's the chairperson of Indonesia Development Evaluation Committee. Dwigers, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Rajani. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoons. Can you continue clicking until display the full slide? Apologize for this. What I can say about Indonesia is that Indonesia has no evolution policy for all. I mean, there's no single consolidated policy evolution at national level, but I must say that monitoring and evaluation has been mainstreamed into many government agencies. And as you can see here, that each agency has their own policy and regulation regarding monitoring and enforcement practice, and it covers a lot of many aspects. I categorize as planning, finance, sectoral, governance and delivery, and cross-cutting. For planning, the designated institution is Bappenas at the national level and Bapeda at the local level. Of course, for the finance, there is a Minister of Finance leading this. And there's a cross-cutting as well. We have the Secretariat SDG. This is quite interesting that we have policy regulations for monitoring the SDG. That's very specific. While for the sectoral, many ministers has their own policy and regulations, and there is a Ministry of Home Affairs that has also policy and regulation with focusing on how actually local governments deliver. And then, so we don't have any advisory planning committee, but I guess the House of Parliament and also the Supreme auditors can play a bigger role here, and also the presidential staff office there that actually use the evaluation office and the evaluation reports. Next slide. So actually, we have no formal engagement and arrangement yet with key stakeholders, but informal engagements based on emerging topic issue continue ongoing, and need to be more structured, I guess, need to be continued in the formal form. And although we have engaged with the SDG Secretariat, but FAO SDG group is not yet established. It's not really formally established, but we do have FAO Youth Indonesia established recently. And we're looking forward to have an opportunity to engage in the parliamentary forum for evaluations. We noted that some champions, mainly our INDEC members who are working with governments, so working with donor development agency and academia, who actually can play a role in engaging and creating partnership with for the NFPs. Next. So action for strengthening evaluation mechanism is very limited. Like I said, engagement strategy is very much depend on the four P members in voicing and advocating this. There's going to be a need for formal and structured action for strengthening evaluation ecosystem, like engaging with academia and also creating this forum for discussing in the future. And this is an issue, but the knowledge about local enforcement practice is not much translated to local language. And yeah, it's kind of more challenging for us to ensure that local knowledge is actually disseminated. Next slide is good. So feel free to contact me if there's any questions.
Thank you so much. And now we have the presentation from Mongolia. We have Batsuga with us, and he's the member of Mongolia Evaluation Network.
Hello, thank you, Jenny. So hope I'm audible. So I'll try to wrap up national evaluation policy and systems in Mongolia from my professional perspective. So from the policy framework level, Mongolia underwent through several waves of initiatives, mainly driven by international development partners to promote the evaluation policy in Mongolia. As a result of these initiatives, the evaluation policy framework was aimed to mainly be embedded into the development policy planning and implementation process. And there is a law on development policy and planning, which kind of oversees and enables that policy framework. But on the other hand, from the institutional arrangements perspective, the evaluation process is still integrated with the monitoring and control and inspection processes of the government under the Cabinet of Secretary. So next slide, please. But there has been a recent development. So literally a few weeks ago, the Parliament of Mongolia has enacted law on state control and inspection, which puts the current national evaluation policy and systems in a very much precarious situation, because this new law have substantial implications on the evaluation institutional arrangement of the evaluation systems in Mongolia. According to this law, the representatives of evaluation community in Mongolia have concerns that the evaluation could be overshadowed by monitoring, state control and inspection functions, and the role of the evaluation in the government activities could be dropped down. But on the other hand, besides this development in relation to this new law, there is also, please next slide. There's also digital nation strategy, the overall government digitalization strategy, which is taking place for the last couple of years. And with the right leadership and commitment, evaluation systems and policy can leverage from digitalization initiatives in Mongolia in 3 different ways. The first one is to be integrate the evaluation into digitalization strategies of different sectors and ministries, but also into the systems. Use and apply new data sources from digitalization efforts in effective and evidence-based evaluation, but also under the Information Transparency Act, with the improved transparency of evaluation reports and results, could drive further the need, supply and demand for the evaluation in broader community. Apart from this, there is emerging voluntary organizations for professional evaluation actively working in Mongolia, such as Mongolian Evaluation Network and Mongolian Evaluation Association and others. So these organizations are promoting evaluation culture and practice in Mongolia through their own agenda and strategies. But one of the key challenges still remaining in gap is the standardizing and professionalizing the evaluation practices in Mongolia, especially those of professional trainings, academic programs, and etc. So just really quickly, this is the national evaluation policy and systems in Mongolia, and would be happy to respond to further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Batsugar. And now this is the last country presentation. This is from Tajikistan. I will welcome Zohrjan, member of Tajik Monitoring and Evaluation Community of Practice.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, can you start with the slides, please?
Sure.
I represent the Monitoring Evaluation Committee of Practice of Tajikistan. It's a so-called initiative, not necessarily a legal entity, just for clarification. Okay, Just because of the theme and topic of this webinar, we try to look at the policies and strategies that that are regulating the evaluation. There are brief findings from our side. Actually, Tajikistan VOP is represented by some few members like me and few other colleagues from UNFA, UNICEF, and other colleagues. Actually, we I think this is the second slide, no? Monday. This is the first slide. Okay. Then we of course, yeah, of course we participate in different agenda, different platforms and the cooperation framework, including the regional level and global level as well. Of course, we promote the evaluation culture and principle in the country, both at the non-governmental and also in the governmental, including parliamentary as well in the country. In Tajikistan, there is no any specific, let's say, regulation or a policy or a law that regulate the evaluation. But of course, the country does review, of course, of the programs and strategies. The ministry in charge, the Ministry of Economic Development. Okay, as I said, we were cooperating with the parliament with a range of actors. Also, there is also from parliamentary. There's a few active members, including the deputy speaker, Ms. Dirabur, whom I am sure a few of you already know. They're working bilaterally, multilaterally. So we were in the Sri Lanka, for instance, parliamentary forum. Next slide, please. Okay, just as I mentioned earlier, Tajikistan VOP is not an official, has not been officially registered, let's say, with the Ministry of Justice, Tax, and so on. But as a recent development that we are planning to register it more, to let's say to formalize it, so it can be more. So we are thinking that it may give more value if you register it officially. Also, we work with the ministries, UN agencies, and various institutions, and in order to advance our cooperation and engagement, we prepared. We were part of the joint development of the video course on the monitoring evaluation for civil servants with our Eurasian Alliance partners from other countries in the region. Of course, there's a plan to develop a glossary of eminent terminology in our local language, Tajik language, which is usually, sometimes very challenging for perception and understanding of those terminologies as an issue. Next slide, please. I think, just before this, just to reiterate that how it works, the review, as I said, there is no any evaluation as such. Let's say, an evaluation in its classical way is not perceived well, but what is done usually in many similar to other countries, evaluation and monitoring is done like audit or financial control, or just ticking the output or activities, which is not let's say enough. Therefore, we are thinking that to work someone with all the stakeholders to make our modest contribution on promoting this evaluation from its let's say how to say original or classical way, or RBM, or this kind of stuff, including at all stages, both reviewing, evaluation of the policies, maybe laws, maybe the state programs, and because we realize that annual review of the programs is not enough by just saying yes or no, or utilization of financial resources does not necessarily mean that the outcome, intended outcome, is achieved by that certain program and policies. This is actually brief from our side. I think we are in time. If anything, we stand ready for clarification. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Zorjan, and thank you for all the country speakers before him. Thank you for sharing your knowledge, sharing your experiences, the best practices, and also the challenges. So in the interest of time, we will cut the plenary discussion short. I will just summarize some of the questions that were posted in the chat box and direct them to our speakers. So there was a question by Kim, and she asked what are the things that NEPs cover, specifically in terms of the actions and especially in particular about the issues also. So this is something that maybe Randika and Hasati and Asela, all of you can answer. And Samandar, you of course, as the NEPS leader, what are those things specifically NEPS should cover? What actions in particular countries should take? And what are the avenues for collaboration? Nitin asked about data validity and whether the political interest interferes with the way data is collected and the way data is used. A very relevant question. So maybe when you're talking about these studies that are being conducted countrywide, we should, and also globally, we should think about political interests and other contextual issues as well. How, for instance, global issues or local issues affect the validity of data. Hudson asked about the certification, whether Sri Lanka has certified evaluators. Randika, Sela, anyone from Sri Lanka can answer that. There was a question for Dr. Taka, whether the evidence-based learnings, if you can share some example for the evidence-based learnings. So these are some of the questions that I picked up from the chat, and I would request all the speakers to answer them in the chat box so that everybody can can read the answers. Anything from your end, Rajni?
No, but meanwhile, maybe we can just take one or two questions, and maybe Dr. Sela can start, right? And yes, and then just two questions. But we, as Maha mentioned, we request other speakers and country presenters to please comment and answer the questions that are already given there in the chat box by typing your comment and your reactions to it.
So if Samandar, you or Asela could answer the Kim's question, I think let's start with that because it is very specific to our event today. So what should be included or what is included in NEPS, and any particular actions in particular?
Thank you, Maha and Rajni. While Samandar is coming to the picture, let me quickly mention now what should be included in National Evaluation Policy NEPS. Actually, we have some resources already we can share with the participants as well. There is Eval Partners publication where there is a model national evaluation policy is included. That is something I think countries can use. At the same time, how to do advocacy for evaluation policy and system. There is another publication. I think our team will share all this with the participants after this event. Very quickly about there was a question about what are the criteria for social system I mentioned. Actually, I mentioned that citizens demand whether they use evaluations, whether they ask evaluations, civil society ask evaluations about different development interventions. This is important, as I mentioned. This is the weakest area in all the regions, all the countries. That may be the reason even the leaders are not, they don't care about evaluation. If citizens demand this, they use evaluations even in elections, that will be really good pathway for strengthening evaluation systems, I would say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Asela. Dr. Taka, if you're there, if you could please share maybe an example of a case where evidence-based policy or evidence-based, because of using that, there was a good impact.
Right. Let me just, quickly respond to the question posed. Thank you so much for the question. In short, I do not know the concrete examples that are actually put forward because of this enabling environment or a regulatory type of requirement put forth by the Cabinet Office. But having said that, to emphasize the importance of a kind of institutional setup and support, as I said, the Cabinet Office of Japan, they have been utilizing, or they have been actually organizing many training or capacity development workshops so that the, including local municipalities, line ministries, etc., of central government level, they will be able to first get to know the usefulness and benefits of evidence-based policy making, and also so that these stakeholders will be able to utilize. So it's more like supporting the enabling environment rather than going into a specific case in this case. But sorry, I do not know the exact, for example, exemplar case, with apologies.
No, thank you so much. With this, we'll move forward. We'll take more questions in the chat box. Over to you, Rajni.
So thank you so much. Now we have Anirudh. So he'll be sharing with us the key lesson learned and the partnership for strengthening NEPs in Asia Pacific. Anirudh, floor is yours.
Thank you, Rajni. And it was very heartening to hear all these interesting experiences from so many countries. So I'm just trying to sort of summarize a couple of things which sort of the common vein or the common line which is happening in all the countries. First point which I wanted to bring forward was the will of the government / the necessity of having good evaluation, and also the accountability angles which is happening in across all the countries. From examples like when Japan has such an evolved system, there are issues about the internal nature of the evaluations to, Australia having the Commonwealth policy, or Nepal having it in the part of the constitution, but also, they are still getting the part discussed as a legislature which is coming up, or the India's OMF framework which is coming in, or Dr. Romelo's issue about the joint circular. So there is this whole issue of frameworks and legislations and description, which is pushing the whole agenda across. And that is where I think a big activity or an area of activity which we can all jump in and put our energies to. Another part which I think which was importantly mentioned across is about the institutional arrangements which you are seeing. In different countries, there are various different institutional arrangements you're talking about, and we are talking about, and also it's about the issue of the federal structures within each of these countries, how these all interact. And if you look at the institutional arrangement, largely it emanates from the audit angle of looking at evaluations, to now where you have planning, finance, and then sectoral ministries also jumping in and talking about it. So there is this important mix of players over there in the institutional arrangements. We as VOPEs, or a champion or pushers of the NPS, need to understand and be cognizant about. And when we are pushing the mapping of the institutional arrangement and all those things becomes critical. I think also the issue of stakeholders was also mentioned a lot about the types of stakeholders, which is also important, from CSOs to donors to planning bodies and planning commissions, and in Pakistan to Niti Aayog in India, or various bodies which are the key stakeholders which can push the agenda. And we need to find within these two bodies, and I'm happy to mention that when I look at hear from Kazim or all the other people who are, say, Gokul Khadka from Nepal, I find these champions within these bodies who can talk about this MNE framework, who are the real champions who can push the agenda. So it is important to understand the stakeholders, get the allies, and also find these champions who can talk about this agenda and talk about. Third, the other aspect, quick aspect, which I wanted to look at when I'm looking at it, is the issue of collaboration. There is a lot to learn from happening across the different countries. And the document which, the NEPS document which has come out is a good source to understand what's happening from different countries and where we can pick up different issues and bring it to our own countries when we are pushing the agenda around NEPS or strengthening their own agenda around NEPS. So there is this collaboration. It opens up with this type of forum, opens up this whole idea of collaborations, and that is backed by a fantastic document which is happening. Last 2 points quickly, can't get into the importance of capacity building, education, trading, and all that is being mentioned across. And also the conversion of these various frameworks or tools of the trade, that I would call it, into local languages. Because without that being developed in local languages, many participants are being left out of the whole process. So quickly, a couple of these points, I think, was reflected across as we go ahead. And that's the area of work and action points ahead also, I think, which will be covered. Thank you, Maha, from my side.
Thank you so much.
Can I add something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you very much. I think it's a very good, you actually shared the lesson learned. Actually, I've missed some points during my presentation. Like in Pakistan, we are also have the chapter evaluation, youth evaluation, and they are working very well, and they're very much delivering actually in the promotion of the evaluation culture, and especially the concepts and everything. I would definitely mention here. Another thing is we are in the process of work for the Pakistan Evaluation Association in a registration process, SECP, with to make it a legal entity actually, to have some with the Planning Commission, have the legal and formal partnerships for the support and etc. So that is also in a process. We are facing some problems, but that will be inshallah concluded. Another thing is actually I'm looking based on my experience and in the Planning Commission, we have to have the evaluation of the policies actually. We mean only the evaluation here. The concept is to evaluate only the development projects, but generally there is no any concept of evaluation of the policy, at least 3 to 5 years, which is also come up with the policy cycle actually, and that is very integral part of the evaluation of the policies, what they actually delivered, not delivered, what was the bottlenecks, what the gaps actually. So that needs actually integration in the evaluation systems actually.
Thank you so much.
Another thing is the support or any can extend from the APA for the strengthening at the country level. So I'm also looking at support from the APA. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kazim. Now we will request Yatin Diwarkar, the co-lead of NEPS theme, for the summary and way forward. Over to you, Yatin.
Thank you, Maha. So we already had lots of summaries today, so I can skip that part. I request all the audience members to look at our Twitter handle, API's Twitter handle, where we have been posting short summaries throughout the events, snaps of the event throughout. The way forward as a NEPS theme, there are few of the activities that we want to continue over the next year. Most important is to continue the webinars that we started in the past year between these regional dialogues. These regional dialogues are happening annually, but in between we have started some webinars to talk about different aspects of NEPS, talking in depth about evaluation systems and policy and how to bring them about, etc. So we will be continuing on that. Second is that instead of having a detailed survey like this year and last year, next year we will be creating a table of countries and all the information about them. And we'll be just updating it through inputs from different people from different countries, so that instead of doing a detailed survey and missing out on some information here and there, we can quickly update the recent status of all the countries. And in this process, we will be requesting you to help us to reach out to more countries and more participants, so that the data that we have is for more countries and is more foolproof. There are no mistakes in that data. Again, we'll do have a dialogue in 2023 December. So please share your ideas about what we should do in it, how we should do it. Join us with what activities we should do. At the national level, there is some interesting actions being initiated. Like in Sri Lanka, they're talking about doing material in the regional language, and same has been done by some other countries as well. To increase the social interaction, the social index in evaluation, engagement in institutionalization of evaluation, it is important that we reach out to the society, to the people. And I will encourage all our members across the countries from WUPEs and governments to start writing about evaluation and its use and its impact in the regional language newspapers, so that people start to get engaged on this. And we have to create an ecosystem where we bring together civil society, WUPEs, National Statistics Office, Evaluation Office, auditing agencies, and planning and finance ministries, and everyone in the government, and other champions, especially parliamentarians, which are missing in many of our countries right now. We have to bring them all together to start some discussion around, at the national level, around having a national evaluation policy. Like Sri Lanka took 13 years to finalize this policy. I hope that other countries which are still in the process of creating and finalizing their policy, by bringing together these actors, we might be able to do it in maybe 5 years or even less. So that's the way forward I'm envisioning for both the NEPS theme and NEPS promotion of NEPS in the region. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yatin. Now I will request everyone to please turn on their camera so that we can take a group picture. Thank you once again, everybody. And now I think it's time to smile big. And I would request somebody from the production team to please take the screenshots. Urvashi, can you also please turn on your camera? It's a big group, so we're just going to take 30 seconds more. Production team, are we good to go? Madhuka?
Done, madam.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, everyone. And now I'll quickly call upon Madhuka to give the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Rajini. Hello, everyone. So we have come to the end of third Asia Pacific Regional Dialogue on National Evaluation Policies and System 2022. This is the third consecutive time we have a virtual dialogue. So I would like, on behalf of all the partners, FPI and all the other partners, I would like to thank all our speakers and moderators today. Next slide. And this time we had more country presentations than last year. So on behalf of everyone, I would like to thank all the country presenters for joining us and sharing their country status with our audience. Next slide. So again, I would like to thank our communication and production team from Asia Pacific Communication Hub, APC Hub, who will at back behind the scene and make sure the smooth run of this event. Thank you, everyone. And next slide. So this is our organizing committee, and I would like to thank all the NEPS team members for their months of hard work to make this event a successful event. And last but not the least, I would like to thank all the participants who join us today and for their active participation. Thank you, everyone. Over to you, Rajini.
Thank you so much once again, everyone. Thank you to the organizers, the speakers, the participants, and thank you, Rajini, for co-hosting this event. Once again, please note down that there's a series of exciting events by EvalVision Asia. Please mark your calendars and join us starting from today, and these events will go up to 10 December. Other than that, this year it's the 3rd anniversary celebration of Evaluate Asia. Tomorrow is the event. Do register. Moreover, we will have the 37th SLAVA webinar, Localizing M&E Education in the Asia Pacific region. So sign up for this also. This is on the 7th of December. And last but not the least, this is a call for papers for the Asia Pacific Journal of Evaluation. Please visit the website for more details. Over to you, Rajni. Thank you from my side.
Thank you so much. With this, we've come to the end of our regional dialogue, Asia Pacific Regional Dialogue on NEPs. And here, with a lot of gratefulness and thank you for your patience, we close the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
See you next year.
See you next year.
Bye.